3 months after first contact, the Galactic Council chambers looked very different. The ancient circular room where alien species had met for thousands of years now had a new addition. A simple human chair sat among the complex seating designed for 12 different alien species. Ambassador Chan Wu sat in that chair. He had been an astrophysicist before becoming Earth's representative to the Galactic Council. Now he was the voice of humanity in galactic politics. Council Prime Hyun-soo reviewed the integration reports with something close to amazement. In one standard quarter cycle, humanity has established trade relationships with 8 council species, provided technological improvements to our defense grid, and somehow increased overall galactic communication efficiency by 37%. Humans are natural problem solvers, Chan Wu explained simply. Show us a system, and we immediately start looking for ways to make it work better. What he did not mention was how those improvements came with carefully hidden monitoring systems and access points. Humans had learned from the Council's own surveillance methods and improved on them. Dr. So-young presented her analysis to the chamber. Her bioluminescent patches pulsed with excitement as she spoke. Human technological integration has been unlike anything we have ever seen. They have not only matched our capabilities, but exceeded them in several key areas. She activated her holographic display, showing charts and graphs of technological advancement. Their adaptive manufacturing systems can produce almost anything we need in half the time it used to take. Their communication networks have eliminated the delays that used to plague interspecies coordination, and their approach to problem-solving has enhanced every system they have touched. War leader Seok Jin stood up slowly. His scales had changed from their previous angry red to a more respectful orange color. Several new pieces of equipment were attached to his armor. "I must admit," he said grudgingly, "their military advisors have completely changed our tactical doctrine. The humans fight like they expect every enemy to be stronger, faster, and more numerous than they are." "Because that has usually been the case," Chan Wu replied with typical human directness. "When you are the weakest species on your own planet, for most of your evolutionary history, you learn to compensate through better planning and superior tactics." General Dong-hyun chuckled, a sound that would have terrified most species but seemed to amuse the human. "They have turned our own caution against us. Every probe we sent to observe them became a learning opportunity. Every surveillance operation became a chance for them to study our technology." Admiral Jae-sung nodded his massive head in agreement. "Their defensive installations throughout the Sol system are now more advanced than our primary military bases. But instead of threatening us, they have offered to share the technology with all council members. Which brings us to the main question," Council Prime Hyun-soo said, his tentacles moving slowly with age and wisdom. "What do humans really want from us?" Chan Wu stood up and walked to the center of the chamber. He activated his own holographic display, showing the current state of galactic civilization. "The same thing every species wants," he said. "Security, prosperity, and the chance to explore the universe. The difference is that we have learned the best way to achieve those goals is to make sure everyone else achieves them too." The display changed showing detailed proposals for galactic infrastructure projects, joint research initiatives, and coordinated exploration missions. Earth offers true partnership. We are good at making things work efficiently, and we are very good at making sure they continue working. Our proposal is simple. Let us help make the galaxy a better place for everyone. Dr. So-Young's lights flickered with curiosity. But what do you gain from this arrangement? Everything we want, Chan-Wu replied. Security comes from being valuable allies rather than dangerous enemies. Prosperity comes from efficient systems that benefit everyone. Knowledge comes from shared research and exploration. He gestured to the display, which now showed trade routes, communication networks, and research stations spanning the galaxy. Humans learned a long time ago that the strongest position is not being the most powerful. The strongest position is being indispensable. War leader Seok Jin's scales shifted to a thoughtful yellow. You are proposing to make yourselves necessary to galactic civilization. We are proposing to make ourselves useful to galactic civilization, Chan-Wu corrected. There is a difference. Necessary implies force. Useful implies choice. Council Prime Hyun-Soo was quiet for a long time. His ancient mind processed the implications of what he was hearing. In 17,000 years of life, he had seen many species try to achieve galactic influence. Most tried through conquest, some tried through manipulation, a few tried through superior technology. He had never seen a species try to achieve security through making everyone else more successful. The Council has reviewed Earth's application for full membership, he finally announced. We have also reviewed the technological and economic benefits of the proposed partnership agreements. The chamber fell silent. This decision would change the balance of galactic power forever. The Council accepts Earth's application for full membership, Hyun-Soo declared. We also approve the initial partnership agreements for joint research and infrastructure development. Chan-Wu bowed respectfully. Earth is honored by the Council's trust. Though I suspect, Hyun-Soo continued, his tentacles rippling with what might have been amusement, we should have seen this outcome from the beginning. How so? Any species capable of complete communication silence in an age of constant broadcasting was clearly planning something significant. The Council should have realized that Earth's silence was not a mystery to be solved. Hyun-Soo's ancient eyes focused on the human ambassador. Earth's silence was a warning that we failed to understand. As the session concluded and the different species began discussing implementation details, none of the Council members noticed the subtle modifications that had been made to their chamber systems over the past 3 months. Nearly invisible, monitoring devices had been seamlessly integrated into their technology. Communication networks had been quietly enhanced with human-designed improvements. Security systems had been upgraded with better sensors and faster response times. All of these improvements worked exactly as advertised. They made everything more efficient, more reliable, and more secure. They also ensured that humans would always know what was happening in the halls of galactic power. As Chan-Wu left the chamber, he smiled slightly. Earth had achieved everything it wanted. Safety through partnership, prosperity through cooperation, knowledge through shared exploration. And most importantly, they had achieved something no other species in galactic history had managed. They had made themselves indispensable without anyone realizing it was happening. The galaxy was about to become a very different place, and humans intended to make sure it was a better place for everyone. After all, that was the best way to ensure it remained a safe place for humanity. Captain Lee Dae-ho stared out at the massive space station floating in the void. The Galactic Council Station was bigger than any human city. It stretched for miles in every direction, its silver walls gleaming under the light of distant stars. Dae-ho had seen pictures before, but being here in person made his stomach twist with nervousness. "It's incredible," whispered Dr. Park So-min from beside him. She pressed her face against the window of their small transport ship. "Look at those docking bays. They could fit our entire fleet in just one of them." Dae-ho nodded but said nothing. He was thinking about why they were here. 3 worlds had gone silent. Not destroyed, not conquered, just silent. No messages, no signals, nothing. The advanced alien races of the Council had tried everything they could think of. Nothing worked. Now they were desperate enough to ask humans for help. The thought made Dae-ho laugh, but not in a happy way. Humans had only been part of the galactic community for 50 years. Most of the alien species saw them as children playing at being adults. The Zilithians called humans the young noisemakers. The Acrosians were more polite, but still treated humans like pets that had learned to talk. "Captain Lee, we are approaching." "Docking Bay 77 Alpha," announced their pilot over the ship's speakers. "Prepare for landing sequence." Dae-ho straightened his uniform. Ambassador Kim Tae-won had chosen him personally for this mission. Kim was getting old and could not make the trip himself. That left Dae-ho to represent all of humanity at the Emergency Council session. No pressure at all. "Are you ready for this?" So-min asked. She was nervous, too. Her hands kept moving to adjust her glasses, even though they did not need adjusting. "As ready as anyone can be," Dae-ho replied. "Remember what Ambassador Kim told us. Stay calm, listen more than we speak, and try not to start any wars." So-min smiled at that. "I thought the goal was to prevent wars, not start them." That too. Their ship shuddered as it touched down in the docking bay. Through the windows, they could see alien beings moving around outside. Most were taller than humans. Some had extra arms or legs. Others floated in the air without any visible means of support. Dae-ho had studied all the major species, but seeing them in person was different. The airlock opened with a soft hiss. 2 aliens waited for them. One was clearly Zilithian, tall, blue-skinned, with 4 arms and eyes that glowed silver. The other was harder to identify. It looked like a walking tree made of crystal. "Humans," said the Zilithian in perfect English. Its voice sounded like music played through broken glass. "I am Subspeaker Vexithara. You will follow me to the council chambers." "Thank you for having us," Dae-ho said with a small bow. "I am Captain Lee Dae-ho, and this is Dr. Park So-min." Vexithara looked at them the way a person might look at insects. "The council speaker is waiting. Try not to embarrass yourselves too badly." the crystal being made a sound like wind chimes laughing. Daeho decided not to ask what that meant. They walked through corridors that were clearly not built for humans. The ceilings were 30 feet high. The walls showed moving pictures of alien worlds and strange creatures. Everything was smooth and perfect, like it had been grown rather than built. The emergency session has been ongoing for 3 standard days, Vexathera explained as they walked. 7 species have presented their analysis of the silent worlds. All have failed to provide useful solutions. What exactly happened to these worlds? Somin asked. That is what we are trying to determine, the crystal being replied. Its voice sounded like rocks falling. I am Investigator Morgine of the Acrosian Republic. The worlds of Nethys Prime, Kelvara, and New Thessia have ceased all communication. Scan data shows their cities are intact, but there are no life signs. No life signs at all? Daeho asked. None. It is as if billions of people simply vanished. They entered a vast chamber filled with floating platforms. Each platform held representatives from different alien species. The humans were led to a small platform near the back, far from the center where the important discussions happened. The council speaker was a massive creature that looked like a cross between an octopus and a dragon. Its voice boomed through the chamber without any visible effort. The representatives of humanity have arrived, it announced. Perhaps their unique perspective will provide new insights. Several of the aliens made sounds that Daeho suspected were laughter, not friendly laughter. With respect, Council Speaker, called out a voice from one of the larger platforms. What can a species that has barely left their home system teach us? Humans have no experience with crises of this magnitude. Perhaps that is exactly why we need them, replied a different voice. This one was older, more careful. The Acrosian Republic supports giving the humans a chance to review our data, as does the Zilithian Empire, added Vexathera, though she sounded like the words tasted bad. Desperate times call for desperate measures. The council speaker gestured with one of its many arms. Very well. Human representatives, you will be given access to all scan data and reports from the silent worlds. You have 48 standard hours to provide your analysis. Daeho stood up. Thank you, Council Speaker. We won't let you down. See that you do not, the massive creature replied. The fate of billions may depend on finding answers. If the silence spreads to other worlds, the council speaker did not finish the sentence, but everyone understood. Whatever had happened to those 3 worlds could happen anywhere. The entire galaxy was at risk. As the session ended and the aliens began to file out, Daeho heard whispered conversations in languages he did not understand, but the tone was clear enough. Most of them thought bringing humans into this was a waste of time. Somin moved closer to him. No pressure, she whispered. None at all, he replied, watching as their small platform began to descend toward the chamber floor. We just have to solve a mystery that the smartest beings in the galaxy couldn't figure out. Well, Somin said with a grin, when you put it like that, it sounds easy. Despite everything, Daeho found himself smiling back. Maybe being underestimated was not such a bad thing after all. The data room was enormous. Walls covered with screens showed information from the three silent worlds. Numbers and charts flowed across the displays like waterfalls of light. Dr. Park So-min felt small standing in the middle of it all. "This is incredible," she said, turning in a slow circle. "They have scan data going back months before the silence began." Captain Lee Dae-ho nodded, but he was focused on the aliens working around them. 3 species had sent their best analysts to help the humans understand the data, or maybe to watch them fail. Engineer Han Jin-woo was already at one of the main computers. He was young for such an important mission, but Ambassador Kim had insisted on bringing him. Jin-woo could spot patterns that others missed. His fingers moved quickly across the alien interface, somehow making sense of the complex controls. "Captain," Jin-woo called out, "you need to see this." They gathered around his screen. The data showed energy readings from all 3 worlds over the past year. To most people, it would look like random noise, but Jin-woo had found something else. "Look at this pattern," he said, pointing to a series of small spikes in the data. "These readings appear on all 3 worlds, but they show up weeks before the main event." Commander Yoon Mi-rae leaned closer. She had arrived that morning on a military transport, bringing additional support staff. Mi-rae was known for seeing threats that others missed. "What kind of energy signature is that?" she asked. "That's the strange part," Jin-woo replied. "The alien computers classify it as background noise. Their filters automatically remove it from the main analysis." A crystal creature approached their group. It was Investigator Morgine, the Acrosian who had been somewhat friendly during their arrival. "You are examining the filtered data?" Morgine asked. Its voice sounded like distant thunder. "That information was deemed irrelevant by our best scientists." "Maybe that's the problem," So-min said quietly. Then, louder, "We humans sometimes find important things in places others don't look." Another alien joined them. This one was tall and thin, with skin that looked like polished metal. Commander Yoon recognized it as a Christine, one of the most logical species in the galaxy. "I am Analysis Director Zolminar," the creature announced. "I have been observing your methods. You seem to be focusing on data our computers have already processed and discarded." "Yes," Dae-ho said simply. "We are. That is illogical. If our advanced systems determined the data was worthless, why would you waste time examining it?" So-min looked up from her own screen. "Because your computers and ours think differently. What looks like noise to you might be a message to us." Zolminar made a sound that might have been laughter. "You suggest that primitive human analysis is superior to Christine quantum processing?" "I suggest that different isn't always worse," So-min replied calmly. The tension in the room grew thick. Morgine stepped between them. "Perhaps we should see what the humans discover before making judgments," the Acrosian said diplomatically. Jin-woo had been working while they talked. Now, he looked up with excitement in his eyes. "Dr. Park, I think I found something. These energy spikes aren't random. They follow a pattern, but not a mathematical one." "What do you mean?" Dae-ho asked. "Watch this." Jin-woo brought up a new display. The energy spikes appeared as colored dots across a timeline. If you look at them as pure data, they seem random. But if you think of them as... He paused, looking for the right words. As emotional responses, they make sense. So Min caught on immediately. You mean the pattern follows feelings rather than logic? Exactly. Look at the spacing. It's like someone crying for help, then getting scared, then trying again. The intensity changes match emotional states, not technological signals. Zolmanar moved closer to the screen. That is impossible. Emotions do not generate detectable energy signatures across interstellar distances. Maybe not for your species, Mireille said, but humans have always been emotional creatures. We might recognize patterns that logical species would miss. So Min was already pulling up more data. Jinwoo, can you isolate these patterns for each world? I want to see if they tell different stories. The young engineer's fingers flew across the controls. 3 new displays appeared, each showing the emotional energy patterns from one of the silent worlds. My ancestors, Morgine whispered. They are different. Each world has its own signature. The patterns were indeed unique. Nethys Prime showed spikes that started small and grew larger, like growing fear. Kelvara's pattern was more chaotic, jumping between high and low intensities. New Thessia showed the strangest pattern of all, long periods of calm followed by sudden massive spikes. It's like they were trying to tell us something, So Min said softly. But only someone who thinks with emotions could understand. This is speculation, Zolmanar protested. You have no proof that these patterns mean anything. Then let's get proof, Deho said. We need to visit one of these worlds. The aliens stared at him. Morgine was the first to speak. Visit? The Council has declared all 3 worlds off limits. They are too dangerous. Dangerous how? Mireille asked. You said there were no life signs, no energy signatures. What's the actual threat? The unknown, Zolmanar replied. Whatever caused billions of beings to vanish could affect a landing party. Could, Deho repeated. But we won't know for sure unless we investigate properly. These energy readings suggest the people didn't just vanish. They were trying to communicate something before the silence. Jinwoo pulled up one final display. It showed the last 24 hours before each world went silent. The emotional energy patterns all showed the same thing, a sudden spike of what could only be described as understanding, followed by complete calm. They figured something out, So Min said with certainty. Right before the end, all 3 worlds discovered something. Then they went quiet. But what did they discover? Morgine asked. We won't know unless we go look, Deho replied. I'm requesting permission to lead a joint investigation team to Nethys Prime. Zolmanar's metallic skin seemed to darken. The Council will never approve such a mission based on human emotional theories. Then we'll have to convince them, Deho said with a smile. After all, what's the worst that could happen? We're just humans. The aliens didn't realize he was joking. That, Deho thought, might actually work in their favor. The ship carrying the investigation team dropped out of hyperspace near Nethys Prime. Captain Lee Dae-ho looked out at what had once been one of the most beautiful worlds in the galaxy. From space, it still looked perfect. Green continents, blue oceans, white clouds drifting across the surface. Nothing seemed wrong. "All scans confirm previous readings," announced pilot Oh Seong-hae from the cockpit. "No life signs detected, no energy signatures from the cities, but everything else appears normal." Dr. Park So-min checked her instruments for the third time. "The atmospheric readings are perfect. Air is breathable. Temperature is comfortable. It's like the planet is waiting for its people to come home." The investigation team was small but diverse. Besides the humans, they had brought investigator Morgine from the Acrosians, analysis director Zolmanar from the Christines, and a floating creature called Kathesh from the Torgani Republic. Kathesh looked like a jellyfish made of silver, light, and spoke in musical tones. "The silence feels wrong," Kathesh sang softly. "My people are sensitive to psychic emanations. This world should sing with the echoes of billions of lives. Instead, there is only emptiness." Medic Choi Byung-ho was running final checks on the medical equipment. He had trained to treat alien physiologies, something that might become important if they encountered whatever had affected this world. "Landing zone confirmed," Seong-hae called out. "Setting down in the capital city center in 5 minutes." Dae-ho felt his stomach tighten. The council had finally agreed to this mission, but only after making it clear that if the team was lost, no rescue would be attempted. Whatever had claimed 3 worlds might claim them too. The ship touched down in what had been a busy plaza. Through the windows, they could see buildings stretching in all directions. Everything looked normal except for one thing. There were no people anywhere. "Atmosphere is safe," Byung-ho confirmed after checking his readings. "But I'm picking up something strange. There's a low-level energy field covering the entire area." "What kind of energy?" Zolmanar asked. The Christine's logical mind was already analyzing the data. "Unknown. It's not harmful, but it's definitely artificial. Like the whole city is wrapped in some kind of invisible blanket." They stepped outside into eerie silence. The city was perfectly preserved. Vehicles sat exactly where they had been left. Buildings showed no damage. Personal belongings lay scattered about as if people had simply walked away in the middle of their daily activities. "This is deeply disturbing," Morgine rumbled. The Acrosian's tree-like body seemed to shiver despite the warm air. Where did they all go? Engineer Han Jin-woo was scanning everything with his portable equipment. "Captain, I'm getting those emotional energy readings again. Much stronger here. And they're not coming from the past." "What do you mean?" So-min asked. "I mean they're happening right now. Something is still here, still generating these patterns." Kathesh suddenly stopped moving. The floating creature's silver light dimmed to almost nothing. "We are not alone," it whispered in tones like crystal bells. "There is something vast beneath us, ancient, hungry." The team moved closer together instinctively. Commander Yoon Mi-rae had her hand on her weapon, though she doubted it would help against whatever could make billions of people vanish. "Beneath us?" Dae-ho asked. "Underground?" "Deeper than underground," Kathesh replied. "It exists in the spaces between thoughts, in the quiet moments between heartbeats. Zolminar made a dismissive sound. Torgani mysticism. We need facts, not poetry. But as soon as the Christine spoke, the air around them seemed to thicken. The comfortable temperature suddenly felt cold. The bright sunlight appeared to dim. "Everyone stay calm," Deho ordered, though his own heart was racing. That was when they heard it. Not a sound exactly, but something felt rather than heard, like whispers at the edge of understanding. The alien team members began to show signs of distress. Morgine's crystalline branches started to vibrate. "Something is touching my mind, trying to organize my thoughts." Zolminar's metallic skin began to glow with internal light. "I feel it too. It wants to make my thinking more efficient, more perfect." Kathesh was sinking toward the ground, its silver light flickering rapidly. "It hungers for minds that think in straight lines, minds that have achieved harmony and logic." The humans looked at each other in confusion. "I don't feel anything," Somin said. "Neither do I," Jinwoo added. "Just the same energy readings as before." "Stay close to the humans," Deho told the aliens. "Something about us seems to provide protection." They moved through the empty streets as a tight group. The further they went, the worse the aliens became. Morgine moved slower, as if struggling against invisible chains. Zolminar's normally perfect posture became rigid and unnatural. Kathesh could barely maintain its floating height. "There." Jinwoo pointed toward a building with strange markings on its walls. "The energy readings are strongest at that location." The building looked like a library or museum. Ancient symbols covered its surface, glowing faintly in the dim light. As they approached, the whispers became stronger. The Nethesians discovered something here, so men realized. This is where it started. Inside the building, they found what remained of the planet's population. Not bodies, but something worse. Thousands of empty shells that had once been people sat in perfect rows, their eyes open and staring at nothing. They were alive but not alive, breathing but not living. "They have been perfected," Kathesh managed to whisper before collapsing completely. At the center of the room stood a crystal formation that hurt to look at directly. It pulsed with dark energy, and from within it came the whispers that were trying to claim the alien minds. "We need to leave," Morgine said, fighting to maintain control. "Now!" But as they turned to run, they found their path blocked. The whispers had taken physical form. Shadow creatures that moved like liquid darkness. The beings reached for the aliens with hungry tendrils. "Get behind us!" Deho shouted to the alien team members. The shadow creatures paused when they encountered the humans. They seemed confused, unable to sense what they were looking for in the chaotic human minds. "They can't see us properly," so men realized. "Our thoughts are too messy for them to understand." Using the humans as shields, the team fought their way back to the ship. But now they knew the terrible truth. The whisper entities, as Deho had started thinking of them, fed on perfect minds. and they were spreading to other worlds. As their ship lifted off from the silent planet, Daiho looked back at the empty cities below. "We need to warn the Council," he said. "The galaxy's greatest strength has become its greatest weakness." The emergency session of the Galactic Council was chaos. Representatives from dozens of species spoke at once, their voices mixing into a sound like a storm. Captain Lee Daiho stood on the human platform, waiting for a chance to speak. Beside him, Dr. Park Somin held the datapad containing their report from Nethys Prime. "Order!" boomed the council speaker, its massive tentacles waving for silence. "We will hear the investigation report." The chamber grew quiet, but Daiho could feel the tension. 3 more worlds had gone silent while his team was away. The whisper. Entities were spreading faster than anyone had expected. "Honored Council," Daiho began, his voice carrying clearly through the chamber. "We have discovered the cause of the silences. The affected worlds have been consumed by entities that feed on organized consciousness." A wave of shocked whispers ran through the assembled representatives. "These creatures are drawn to minds that think in perfect patterns," Somin added. "The more logical and disciplined a species, the more attractive they become to the whispers." Analysis Director Zolmanar stepped forward on the Christine platform. The proud being still showed signs of their encounter on Nethys Prime. Its metallic skin was dull and its movements were slow. "The human report is accurate," Zolmanar announced reluctantly. "I experienced the entity's influence directly. It attempted to make my thoughts more efficient, more perfect. If not for the human's protection, I would have been consumed." "This is impossible," declared Speaker Vexithera from the Zilithian platform. "Our mental disciplines have been perfected over millions of years. They are our greatest strength. And that's exactly the problem," Commander Yunmi-Ray said firmly. "Your strength has become your weakness. These entities can't affect chaotic minds like ours." The chamber erupted in angry voices. Many representatives refused to believe that their advanced civilizations were more vulnerable than the primitive humans. "Silence," the council speaker commanded. "What solution do the humans propose?" Daiho took a deep breath. What he was about to suggest would change everything. "Humanity must take the lead in defending the galaxy," he said. "We are the only species that can resist these entities effectively." The response was immediate and loud. Dozens of species shouted protests and insults. The idea that humans should lead anything was unthinkable to most of them. But not all voices were against the idea. Investigator Morgine stepped forward on the Acrosian platform. "The humans speak truth," the crystal tree being announced. "I also felt the whisper's influence. Only when I stayed near the humans was I safe. Pride will not save us from extinction." Kathesh, still weak from the encounter, sang a mournful tune from the Torgani platform. "My people sense the spreading darkness. It moves toward our most civilized worlds. We must accept help wherever it can be found." Engineer Han Jin-Woo activated a holographic display showing the galaxy. Red dots marked the silent worlds, and yellow dots showed worlds reporting strange phenomena. "The pattern is clear," he explained. The entities target the most advanced civilizations first, worlds with perfect cities, logical governments, and organized societies. They're spreading along trade routes and communication networks. How long before they reach the core worlds? Asked a representative from the Peaceful Harmony Coalition. Jin Wu's calculations appeared on the display. At current rate of expansion, 3 weeks, maybe less. The chamber fell silent as the reality sank in. The heart of galactic civilization was under threat. What do you propose we do? The council speaker asked Dae-ho directly. We establish defense protocols immediately, Dae-ho replied. Human teams will be stationed on key worlds to provide protection. We'll teach willing species techniques to make their thinking less attractive to the Whispers. Teach us? Vexathera sounded offended. What could humans possibly teach superior beings? Somin stepped forward with a gentle smile. We can teach you how to be beautifully imperfect. Over the following days, the galaxy transformed in ways no one had imagined. Human ships carried small teams to hundreds of worlds. Each team included specialists trained in what they called chaos protocols. On the crystal world of Luxor, medic Choi Byung-ho worked with local healers. He taught them meditation techniques that embraced emotion rather than controlling it. Don't. Try to empty your mind, he explained to a group of crystalline beings. Fill it with random thoughts. Think about your favorite food, then think about the weather, then remember a funny story. Jump between ideas without logic. The crystals found this incredibly difficult. Their entire culture was based on clear, organized thinking. But as reports came in of whisper attacks on nearby systems, they practiced harder. On the floating cities of Ethon, engineer Jin Wu worked with their greatest scientists. He showed them how to build confusion fields, technology that mimicked the chaotic patterns of human brain activity. Your computers are too perfect, he explained to the floating jellyfish-like beings. They process information in straight lines. We need to teach them to think sideways. The Athonians were fascinated despite themselves. Soon their cities hummed with new energy as their perfect systems learned to embrace controlled randomness. Commander Mireille found herself leading the strangest military force in galactic history. Her troops included humans, reformed Christines, Acrosians, learning to think with their emotions, and dozens of other species. Remember, she told them during training exercises, the goal is not to fight the Whispers directly. They're too powerful for that. The goal is to be too confusing for them to understand. Her soldiers practiced tactical maneuvers that made no logical sense. They learned to change plans randomly, to make decisions based on feelings rather than strategy, and to embrace the chaos of battle rather than trying to control it. The first test came when the Whispers attacked the trade world of Nova Market. The planet had received a human chaos team just days before. As the shadow entities descended on the world's perfect commercial districts, they found something they had never encountered before. The merchants had learned to conduct business with controlled randomness. The traffic patterns flowed in beautiful disorder. The city's computer systems operated on good enough, rather than perfect protocols. The Whispers paused, confused. This world tasted wrong to them. It had the structure they craved, but it was wrapped in protective chaos they could not digest. After circling the planet for hours, the entities moved on to search for easier prey. It worked, so men reported to the Council with barely contained excitement. Nova Market is safe. The Chaos protocols are effective. But even as they celebrated this victory, more reports came in. The Whispers were adapting, learning. The war for the galaxy's soul was just beginning. Ambassador Kim Tae-wan, speaking from Earth, delivered humanity's response to the Council. The human species offers its full support to defend galactic civilization, he announced. But we cannot do this alone. Every species must be willing to change, to become less perfect and more alive. The choice was clear. Adapt or be consumed. The galaxy would never be the same.